Greetings, Waynesville staff. I wanted to give you an update from the Instructional Services Office. As the years progressed, we have received questions and feedback, and I wanted to take this opportunity to respond as you may have some similar questions. The transition to the new Missouri Learning Standards that were adopted in 2016 has resulted in a rewriting of the curriculum for the core content areas. This work began last year with additional revisions occurring this fall. We've been asked why documents are being revised after the start of the year. We know it's been a bumpy start in the world of curriculum, and for that, I apologize. We are responding to information that comes to us from the state and national levels, and while it is messy and the timing is not good, we'd rather take the time now to adjust and respond and ensure we are where we need to be. Curriculum teams began the work last spring and continued over the summer to identify priority and supporting standards, develop proficiency scales, and to develop assessments aligned to the new standards. The teams engaged in a lot of really hard work. While our teams began their work last year, teams were also at work at the state level. Over this past summer, the state released item specification documents. The item specifications outline what students should be able to do in relation to each standard. Then in late August, we gained access to the item benchmark descriptors from last spring's assessments. The IBD reports show the percentage of students answering questions correctly and are broken down by standards and item type. Upon review of the item specifications and IBD reports, gaps were identified in the priority standards and pacing, and some assessments needed revision to ensure the assessment was aligned to the standard. This does not indicate that the initial documents were not of good quality, as it is that they did not reflect the expectations of the standards based on information we received from the state in the late summer. Even at this time, the state continues to release updated and additional documents related to standards expectations. We will utilize those documents this spring as we make updates for next year. We realize that this is time-intensive work that can pull you out of the classroom. However, this work is critical to ensuring that we are teaching and assessing at the appropriate level. As we move towards next year, we will utilize comments, assessment data, and feedback on the current documents to make adjustments. Curriculum is a living, breathing document that we will continually be working to refine. Curriculum is never really finished. Based on our revised planning process, when you leave at the end of the year, first semester documents for next year will be finalized and ready to go for you to use as you plan over the summer, and second semester documents will be finalized in June. We are frequently asked, which standards am I supposed to teach and focus on? The Missouri Learning Standards are the standards that guide the majority of our instruction. In advanced courses and exploratory classes, there are national standards that are also utilized to supplement instruction. In past years, we identified priority standards, but did not put as much focus on supporting standards in our documents. Priority standards are those standards that we have identified as those that we are tracking and specifically assessing. However, the supporting standards provide a foundation that builds to or relates to the priority standard. We have added the supporting standards to documents this year in order to keep them in front of us to support planning and instruction. Just because we don't specifically assess the supporting standards, it does not mean that we don't teach them. A frequent question revolves around why we don't hire outside experts to write our local assessments. Assessment writers are experts at developing assessments. However, they are not experts on our students. Locally developed assessments provide a measure of what we expect our students to know and be able to do. Assessment questions from textbooks, as well as released items, may be excellent questions. However, before utilizing those in local assessments, we need to ensure that the questions align with proficiency expectations. If they do align, we may use those questions as models for question development. What we do not want to do is copy an entire assessment that may not be aligned or written at the correct level of rigor. While on the topic of assessments, I wanted to provide some additional clarity on pre-assessments, post-assessments, and activities. Pre-assessments assess where students are prior to instruction and are an instructional planning tool. If the majority of your students show proficiency on the pre-assessment, you may need to spend less time on that standard. The activities are not formal assessments. The activities are instructional activities that occur to support learning. This could include exit tickets, journal activities, a PBL or a project, and they may provide activity grades that cover several standards. Student performance on activities should guide instruction on the standard. If students are struggling to grasp the standard, you may need to teach the standard longer than you had originally planned, and if they are mastering it easily, you may move at a quicker pace. As I conclude, I just want to remind you that if you have a question about curriculum or instructional materials, start with your collaborative team, an instructional coach, or your building administrator. And if you still have questions or need additional clarification, please do not hesitate to contact my office. If you or your team is struggling with a curriculum-related item, we don't know that and cannot provide assistance unless you let us know. Have a great second quarter, and thank you for all you do to support student learning in Waynesville.